I've read a lot of books over the years. Some of them, wow, they've been strange. That may still be entertaining, but really strange. And today I'm bringing to you my top 10 strangest books from science fiction and fantasy that I've read. Hi, I'm Jim, the father of this father and son duo who does fantasy for the ages, where we talk about fantasy, science fiction, and other nerdy things that we enjoy. Today, a Just Jim episode is I'm going to lead you through this list from bottom to top. Strange books. This is a spoiler light episode. I'm not going to tell you about the plots of the stories. I'm just kind of give you the gist of why they're strange for me. This does not mean I necessarily didn't like them. Many of these books I actually completely liked, even loved. Some of them, not so much, but they're all strange compared to everything else I've read. So, what's on the list? What do I have? And do you agree? Let's find out. At the bottom of my list is actually numbers 10, 9, and 8. All three, because these are three books from a trilogy, and each one were kind of bizarre. I'm talking about the Space Trilogy, also known as the Cosmic Trilogy by C.S. Lewis. These go way back. 1938, Out of the Silent Planet. 1943, Paralandra. And 1945, That Hideous Strength. This is a story of space travel to another planet and envisioning things in a very fantastical way. It's really fantasy. It's not science fiction. There's nothing accurate science-wise included in these stories at all. But they were bizarre. I I struggled. The first book was not too bad. The second one was really hard, and I'll admit, the third one I DNF'd. They were so bizarre that I couldn't follow and started to just lose focus and interest. And I hate that because I enjoy C.S. Lewis as an author. I've read a number of his other fiction and nonfiction works. I've never had that problem before, but this stuff is so off the wall. I couldn't see it through. That's so hard for the completionist within me, but it is what it is. Many people do thoroughly enjoy C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy. You should check it out for yourself if you'd like some time. It wasn't my thing, but it is definitely strange and takes spots 10, 9, 8. Let's move to number 7. I could have done something similar here, give it multiple slots, but the name of it implies I can give it just one. This would be The Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, written over 1980 to 1983. Each book, 4 books, came out a year at a time. If you followed this channel before, then you know The Book of the New Sun is not something I'm on the fan boat? Bandwagon? Let's try that. I'm not a fan. I did read all of this one, though. I did not DNF. I even read The Earth of the New Sun, book 5. It's kind of a sequel that came out some years later, which is actually a good book compared to the other 4, in my opinion. Helped make it all a little more sensible. But that's it. This story is, again, very strange. It's science fiction with a fantasy flair. Gene Wolfe is a master author, so it's written brilliantly, but very convolutedly. There's a lot of foreshadowing in there, but just the way the story develops and is laid out was strange. It made it really hard for me to stay focused and interested. A story, you shouldn't have to work that hard to keep entertained, to keep engaged. And I had to keep pushing myself because I didn't want to quit on this story. Some people I respect really love it. Well, I made it through it, and I wish I could have those weeks back. But nevertheless, I can say I've read The Book of the New Sun, and it's strange. Let's move on to number 6 of my list. This is a small novella from the Kingkiller Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm here talking about the 2014 The Slow Regard of Silent Things. I like this story. Be very clear. This is not one I struggled with or thought to DNF. Not at all. But it's strange. Nothing really happens in this novella. You've just got Ari and her experiences one day. and she doesn't do a lot. She thinks, she interacts with objects, she talks mentally to herself. It's strange. I shouldn't like this story. Nobody should. And yet we all do who have read the Kingkiller Chronicle. It is what it is. The fact that we like it when nothing happens in and of itself is strange. Let me go to number 5. Season of Storms from the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. This came out in 2013 and is, I believe, the latest, both of those, of the things written in the Witcher sequence. And it never should have been written. That's what's strange about it. The Witcher is fantastic. I love everything in it until I get to this book. Because really, the story ended. The whole sequence of The Witcher ended in the previous book. And then this is just more Witcher stories going back before the stuff we just read multiple books of. And nobody cares. I mean, apparently he felt fans wanted more Witcher stories, so he found a way to tell some more, but there's nothing of real substance here, nothing that really adds to the story. I didn't need it. Nobody needed it. That's strange. Why mess with a great series ending by doing one more book that's just almost non sequitur, doesn't connect, is odd. Strange. Okay, number 4, Monster Hunt NYC by Harmon Cooper, 2018. This is the first of a series of books that's strange in a delightful way. I actually really enjoyed this. This is a little bit of a lit RPG. You've got a character who is interacting with a couple of AI creatures. He's a guy, they're both female and hot, and together they're going out and trying to get monsters. It's kind of taking a fantasy-based spin on Pokemon Go. And something about it was kind of engaging and entertaining. It was really a strange book. I hadn't read anything like it before, and somehow I liked it. I haven't read anything else. It's not high-level fantasy. It was just a nice palate cleanser, a little distraction from things, but I was entertained. Number 3, Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card, the 1986 follow-up to Ender's Game. This was not what I expected when I read it. It doesn't have a lot to do with Ender's Game. Ender does end up in it, eventually, but it's about mankind's interaction with yet another alien species and how things don't go well. And in fact, start going disastrously. And Ender coming in to try to resolve things, hoping he can make things work better than the last time he was involved, helping with man's interaction with an alien species. It's just a strange book. It's not a bad book, especially the way the story starts is just a little bizarre. It felt right to put it on this list. The biggest reason it's strange for me is how shockingly different it is from the predecessor. It's barely a sequel. And that was strange. Number 2, the most recent of the books I'm putting on here. This was a strange book that I did enjoy, and many people did. It's from last year, Brandon Sanderson's Year of Sanderson, his secret novel, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. It was strange. You don't know what's going on between the two primary characters of the story for so much of the story. There's something going on, and you're trying to figure it out. Brandon Sanderson has written this very well. And when you do finally figure out what's going on, wow, that's strange. And the resolution of it is, okay, interesting. It fits here. It's a very strange book. Well written. Definitely enjoyed Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. If you haven't read it yet, go check it out. I haven't told you enough to ruin it. Not at all. Finally, my last book, the strangest of things that I could recall reading, is just a fun, delightful one. This is Gil's All Fright Diner by A. Lee Martinez, written back in 2005. This is the first of a series of books written in this vein, And being it was successful, he could keep writing. And it's just a comical mashup of all sorts of horror elements coming together in totally not a horror story. It's a comedy. It's very funny. It involves vampires, werewolves, ghosts, zombies. I mean, all sorts of things. Aliens, parallel dimensions. I mean, it's a crazy book, but fun. A nice story. Characters you enjoy reading about. Even feeling bad for, feeling good for. He sucks you in. The stakes never feel too high in this story, so this is definitely light reading, almost cozy. But it's strange to have all these horror elements used in such a non horror manner and have it work. So good job, Martinez. I have put more of your books on my TBR because they're worthy. There you go. My top 10 strangest science fiction and fantasy books so far. If you have some that you've read that you thought were particularly strange as well, feel free to let us know. Put them down in the comments or hit us up on social media or come join us on our Discord server where we talk about books and other things. The invitation is down there in the show notes. We also have an email in the show notes. You can email us directly if you want, and we do reply. Any comments you leave here, you'll also get a reply. We are growing as a channel, but we're not so big yet that there's thousands of comments every day. We won't miss yours, and thank you for engaging with us. Speaking of thank you, we have people who support us on Patreon, giving us some money each month to help us with the costs, offsetting what it takes to bring content like this to you. Here they are. There's our list. Thank you, those of you who are current Patreon supporters. And if you'd like to know what kind of benefits, perks come with joining this fine group of people, look us up on patreon.com/fantasy for the ages. There's a link down in the show notes. Okay, that's it. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed this. Hit like if you did. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.